In this video, I want to talk about immunity. So in simple terms, immunity is the ability of the body to resist or fight infection. Okay, so we are going to talk about the two types of immunity, that's active immunity and passive immunity. Okay, so I want you to understand the main difference or the difference between the two types of immunity, between active immunity and passive immunity. Okay, under active immunity, an individual attains active immunity when antibodies are made inside his or her body. Okay, active immunity is attained when antibodies are made inside our bodies. So these antibodies will be made in our bodies when, first of all, an infection or a disease-causing organism enters our bodies. In other words, first of all, pathogens like viruses or bacteria must enter our bodies, and this triggers the production of antibodies against that infection. So by so doing, we attain active immunity. On the other hand, passive immunity is attained when ready-made antibodies are introduced into our bodies. Okay, ready-made antibodies introduced into our bodies, that's when we attain passive immunity. Okay, so under the two types of immunity, we have got some categories. Okay, so under active immunity, we have got what is called natural active immunity, and also we have got the second category of active immunity, that's artificial active immunity. Okay, so also under passive immunity, we've got also the two categories, that's natural passive immunity and also artificial passive immunity. Okay, as I said before, that under active immunity, the antibodies are made in our bodies after an infection enters our bodies, but under passive immunity, ready-made antibodies are introduced. So I'm going to further discuss on these two categories of immunity under each type of immunity. Okay, so an individual acquires natural active immunity when an infection enters one's body and antibodies are made. This infection must enter our bodies naturally. For example, maybe you contract, let's say, COVID-19, for example. After getting COVID-19, your body will trigger or produce antibodies against that virus which causes COVID-19 naturally. Okay, so the disease enters you naturally without any human interference. So you get natural active immunity when antibodies are made in your body against that disease. Okay, you get artificial active immunity when attenuated or weakened pathogens, for example, viruses, are injected into your body. So that's vaccination here. Vaccination falls under artificial active immunity. This time, the disease did not enter you naturally, but it was made to enter you by man through an injection. That's vaccination. So vaccination falls under active immunity because in vaccination, attenuated or weakened pathogens, disease-causing organisms, are introduced into your body using an injection. But once those weakened or attenuated pathogens enter your body, they result in active immunity. Okay, under passive immunity, also there are two types, as I said before, two categories, natural and artificial. Okay, so in this case, I said earlier that passive immunity, you get it when ready-made antibodies are brought into your body. So the ready-made antibodies can be brought into your body naturally through breastfeeding. The breastfeeding mothers, the milk contains the antibodies. So when the baby is getting milk from the mother, the baby gets the antibodies also with the milk. So the baby attains natural passive immunity because the antibodies were brought into the body of the baby in a natural way, that's through breastfeeding. Okay, then the second category of passive immunity is artificial passive immunity. Okay, so we attain artificial passive immunity when we receive, for example, an injection of serum. Okay, so the serum will be containing ready-made antibodies. So where does serum come from? Serum is prepared from blood from which the red and white cells, platelets, and fibrogen have been removed. Okay, if the blood is taken from an animal such as a horse, which has been infected with the disease organisms and has, as a result, produced antibodies or antitoxins, then these valuable substances will be present in the serum. So in other words, the serum will be containing ready-made antibodies, and serum is obtained from blood. So if you receive an injection of ready-made antibodies as an adult, for example, you attain passive immunity. Maybe last but not least, active immunity lives long throughout one's individual's lifetime. Okay, it lasts longer compared to passive immunity. Passive immunity is short-lived. Okay, for example, natural passive immunity just to help the babies to fight infection before their immunity gets strong. So passive immunity is short-lived, and active immunity thrives for a long period of time inside our bodies, roughly let's say throughout one's lifetime. Okay, so I think I've explained and put some clarity between the two types of immunity. Thank you. See you in the next videos.